Welcome to the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast. Tonight, Carson Slovak and Brett Anspach. This episode is sponsored by Inglewood Brewing. And now your hosts, Daniel Kime and Alan McCutcheon.
Welcome to the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel.
And I'm your co-host, Alan.
Coming up, we have Brett Anspach.
And Carson Slovak.
Probably know both of them from the band Galactic Empire. Let's dig in.
And we're sitting down with Brett Anspach. Brett, we're
Hello.
so happy to have you here, man. How are you
Yes, I am very happy to be here. I mean, it's the CPM podcast, and
It's true.
I did not think that I would get a nomination or anything like that this year for my solo work. So
You were nominated,
I'm here.
right?
Yes.
That's your solo album. It's instrumental. It's called Colossus, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So how did this come to be?
So it came to be around March of 2020.
Okay.
Like right when the pandemic was starting.
I feel like that inspired a lot of musicians, honestly. I think it was like, if I can't do anything else, I might as well write.
So, yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything going on, and I started playing Doom more around that time. New game came out.
Yep.
And
It's very good.
the soundtrack in that game is ridiculous. It's won its share of awards. So I was inspired to make something similar to that. I didn't really know how to go about that style of music, and I just kind of figured it out. And one day I was watching a podcast, funny enough, of the guy that took down Osama, and
okay.
I know, crazy. And the way he told his story made me feel like I was there. And made me feel like I was the guy that was doing it myself. He had such a way of telling the story. And I remember after watching that podcast, I picked up the guitar and I laid this riff down, and I was just like, well, I guess I started my solo record.
So what, you were essentially man, that was an awesome story. I felt like I was there, but I need theme music.
Yeah.
So you're I'm going to write my own theme music for the experience that I had with his story.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it for America, huh?
I guess so, yeah. So and then there's a song on the record called Operation Neptune Spear. And that's
the operation.
That's
thing.
the song. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Dude, that's sweet.
And I thought that was pretty metal too, so
taking down Osama, I don't think maybe there is other but that's definitely pretty metal. That's top tier metal for sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you started writing this. How long would you say it took you to kind of orchestrate and put together Colossus to where you were like, okay, I like this, I want to put this out?
So, well, if I started in 2020-ish, 2021 maybe, it came out April of 23, so probably 2 years.
Okay.
But most of the stuff that I write, 85% of it gets done really fast, and then the final 15 takes another year. It's
okay, yeah.
I have an idea, I'll put it down real quick, and then I'm so picky with I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, because if I was, nothing would get released. But
that's definitely still a mental struggle.
To the point where I make sure everything is down to a T, because I'm recording it myself, I'm mixing it myself, and I'm mastering it myself. So everything from the idea in my head to what you hear is just through me.
That's dope, dude.
Yeah.
So it takes a while to make that come to life once I have it on paper, even, because there's just so many little even small little synth sounds, or the post-production, swells and bass drops and stuff like that.
How you piece it all together and make that full ambiotic sound.
Because it's an instrumental record, so obviously that means there's no vocals, so there's got to be something for somebody to catch on to and a reason for them to want to keep listening to what's happening.
Yeah.
Even though there's nothing being said, the instruments have to be a vocal or like a synth line on top of a song. That kind of takes the place of, say, a vocal melody.
So I was going to ask that actually, because I know you're also a vocal. You're a very talented guitarist. I know you play the drums, but you've also been a vocalist. So writing an instrumental album, and like you said, there is no instrumentals or vocals on an instrumental album. But that's what a lot of people, the majority of people, they look for the hooks vocally. So would you say that was probably one of your biggest hurdles writing the instrumentals? How to write instrumental hooks where vocals would have filled in?
I think so. For me personally, as an artist, vocals are the hardest thing for me to do. Patterns, I have no problem with patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Creating a melody that I think other people are going to hook onto
I'm right there with you, man.
is tough.
It's very hard. It's very hard.
But I'll pick up a guitar and I'll just riff something out, and that comes to me pretty quick.
Dope.
So it was a little bit easier, I think, to create a hook in this way because you have so many virtual instruments at your disposal that can make so many different sounds, and
It's endless now.
I will find something and I'll be like, I've never heard that before, or maybe I have heard that before, but it's just really cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this now. So then I just kind of go for it. I will take, even if it's the melody of the song, and I will copy and paste that same thing on multiple different virtual instruments, and I will just cut it up, delete certain sections, without even listening to it, just kind of randomly picking in and getting rid of certain things, and then play them all at the same time across each other, and just seeing what happens. And that's how I come up with some of these sounds. And then I'll be like, oh, that was kind of cool, but I didn't like this part. Let me add a note here.
So you kind of struck gold doing that? I would say that's essentially a shotgun blast version of I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it through multiple different instruments or generators, play it all at once, see how it sounds. That's a shotgun blast of it, and you're you struck gold with that a couple times?
So I'll take 8 or 9 different virtual instruments, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll type up the melody that I'm thinking on MIDI.
Yep.
And I will paste that into each one all at the same time, and then I will take a blade tool or something.
Yep.
And I will chop each track up at a different spot randomly. I won't even listen to it. I'll just chop it up randomly, and I'll delete random little blocks out of all of them, and then I'll play it back and see what it sounds like.
Damn, that's awesome.
Dude, that's crazy because you're leaving so much to chance and variable. It's crazy.
Yeah. So
yeah, it just gives me the ability to not think too hard and just be like, that sounds cool. I'll just keep it.
yeah,
Dope.
that's amazing. So do you think? Obviously you're a well-seasoned musician and producer and everything. Do you think there's obviously a lot of learning that came from this of different new, I guess tools in the toolbox for future productions and maybe in other different projects in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Even the new UltraViolent stuff that's coming out is a lot more has a lot more post-production, I guess you could say, in terms of there's a lot more cool effects going on.
A lot more polish to it.
Yes. Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Just because a lot of those sounds, it's I would hear them on my favorite records and I just wouldn't know how to recreate that.
Yeah.
So even just this EP alone just really helps you to grow as a musician.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. When back for people that don't know, this is the Brett that I've mentioned on other episodes that I played with when I was in Ethics. But I know exactly what you mean. When we had our EP with Ethics, it was good. It did what it did. But then when we released the single Devoid, the way we wrote it and the way it was built, it just sounded so much more full and complete.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it was orchestrated as a whole better. And I get what you're saying. Where it's now these new ones are sounding more polished.
Right. Well, one of the new UltraViolent songs, when I first wrote the riff, I had initially thought that it might have been something that was going to be on my solo record. And then I was just like, you know what? There's a riff in the middle that was just too cool to not have some kind of vocal thing on it. So I put some vocal stuff to it, and got the rest of the band involved, and now that's the one that's actually going to be the single. So it's
awesome.
It's going to be nuts.
Yeah,
It's
that's
going to be
great.
pretty heavy in comparison. So
That's awesome. So, and you mentioned UltraViolent. For anybody maybe is watching hasn't heard of UltraViolent, can we dive into that topic a little bit? Tell us a little bit about UltraViolent, what you guys have going on.
yeah, so
Took the word right out of my mouth, Danny.
Thank you.
Love you.
UltraViolent. So me and our bass player, Avery Levan, we've been friends since probably first grade, if not before that. And when we were 12, we started playing instruments together. I mean, I started playing drums when I was about like 5 or 6 years old. But me and Avery played together when we were 12. We did some covers up until we were about 14. And once we were 14 is when the name UltraViolent came about. So really, we're heading on year 10, technically, of being a band.
Wow.
That's crazy, dude.
So 2019, we put out a full-length record. It's a concept album. And this EP that we're dropping this year will be the first thing since then. So it's really been like almost 5 years since we put anything out. When the pandemic hit, there was a lot going on. We had some member changes, of course, COVID. Some of them, Avery was in college. Our one guitar player had moved to Phoenix briefly, Arizona. So
Briefly. That's a very far distance to briefly move.
he was there for about a year, I think, a little
Okay.
over a year maybe. He's back now, and we're finally like it took a long time to figure out how to do things the right way and how to release something properly, how to get it to sound everything from A to Z that needs to be done the right way.
And all be on the same page.
And
while
all be
doing
on
it.
the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're finally there. And, despite being a band for 10 years, there's always something because, like I said, we started UltraViolent when we were 14.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know anything about anything.
I just want to
like-
play music, and I want to play it live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we've been recording ourselves doing music ever since that time. Like, anything that we've released has all been, like, in-house, self-produced, recorded, mixed, mastered, all that stuff.
That's awesome.
So, like, being able to do that for 10 years, obviously, it helps shape me as a producer and a songwriter because, like, there's no better practice than that.
Absolutely not.
So I'm really excited for the new music because of that. I think we're finally at a spot where it's like, okay, this is the band, like, get ready. You know what I mean?
I'm
So
stoked, man.
I
I'm
can't
ready.
wait.
I'm ready, man. I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear it, especially with the way you're describing things and everything. Because it's like, there's a difference when someone's like hype about and I get it. There's most musicians, they're not hype about their new music, but there are examples where sometimes they're like, yeah, I got new music coming out, like it'll be cool, and it's like, okay, that doesn't make me want to listen to it. Like when the person's
Right.
passionate, I'm like, okay, now I want to hear it because dude, you've done a great job describing it. So just a foot stomp, some clip notes for our listeners because we've kind of jumped all over the place. So you are in the band UltraViolent.
Yes.
You are also a solo artist with your instrumental, with that album Colossus, and that is nominated for the instrumental album / EP of the year for the 2023 CPMAs.
Woohoo.
We also gotta address the elephant in the room.
Yes.
There is also another act that you are a part of that
Yes.
is internationally known.
Perhaps.
Kind of a big
Galactic
deal.
Empire.
Yes.
So we gotta ask, how do you get away with it? Like, Star Wars themed band playing Star Wars music, looking like Star Wars-esque characters. How do you do it?
Yeah, so recently we've taken on this life of kind of having our own like original characters. They look as if they could be in a Star Wars film. Like if you saw the costumes that we're wearing right now, if you were to see that character in like a new Star Wars movie, you probably wouldn't really bat an eye. You'd be like, that's a Star Wars character.
It's a background character. It blends
Yes,
right in.
exactly.
Blends right into the universe.
Exactly, but they're not at all. And we all have our own like stage names for them as well, that are not they're not
canon or
it's
anything.
not Boba Fett, you know.
Yeah.
It's not,
You're not like affiliated with the movies.
right,
Yeah.
right. So I believe, you know, technically it has something to do with like it's just considered parody at that point.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can do it. And I mean, we're playing covers, we're releasing covers, and you know, like John Williams will get some kind of cut from the songs that we're putting out
Because
like
it's his original
right.
orchestra. That's crazy.
So
So you're
as long
essentially making him money.
oh yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, not that he really needs it because he's John Williams, but still, that's kind of cool in a weird way that you're getting him paid.
Yeah, from my understanding, that's how it works.
Okay. Very
I'm
interesting.
pretty sure.
Are you allowed to like? I mean, because I kind of know, but maybe our fans don't know. Like, are you allowed to divulge what character you are and who you play?
Yes,
Okay.
I am, because I'm choosing to.
Okay. All right. All right.
I am the rhythm guitar player. Stage name is Doom Riff.
Riff.
Now, despite what we just talked about,
I was gonna ask.
I did not come up with the name. It was given to me.
That's straight coincidental.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
kind of wild. It kind of makes sense. It's almost like it was made for you then. Like,
Well, as soon as they told me, I'm like, "There's no way. You're kidding, right?" I'm like, "Oh,
no, you're
all
you're
right."
doing it. Do you guys have like
Don't
lore
ask
for
me
like your
twice.
for your characters, like or like any kind of like background, like
What galaxy are
hypothetically?
you from?
Whatever you want it to be, I guess. Right? Yeah.
Dealer's choice.
Yeah.
He's like, you tell me my story, bro.
Well-
you tell me how I came to be.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, you know what? Nah, I don't like that.
I don't like that. That's a terrible backstory, bro.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
go back to the drawing board. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
oh, okay. I mean, what's it like playing for a band like that? I mean, you guys are absolutely huge, and I mean, I'm sure you're all huge Star Wars fans, and this is all, you know, paying homage to something that you love. What's it like to
He's
be
like,
in this?
I
mean,
hate Star Wars.
So I decided to watch the original trilogy after I joined the band.
Oh man.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Okay,
The first Star Wars movie I seen was Force Awakens,
that was your first mistake.
and that was my first mistake.
Yep.
I fell asleep in a theater.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Um,
hmm
I saw Rogue One then after that, I believe.
That one's really good. I do like Rogue One.
And then Avery, one of his favorite movies of all time is Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So I've seen that a few times just because of him, right?
Absolutely.
Good movie. Great
I
movie.
have the high ground, Anakin.
Exactly.
I hate you. I hate you.
But
Me and my girlfriend say that to each other all the time in passing. It's stupid, but yes.
so, and Avery's a huge Star Wars fan. So he was one of the first people I called when like I got the news, and he's like, "Well, you know, we gotta watch the movies now. Like we gotta come on.
Well, yeah,
man.
you can't be in a Star Wars
Yeah,
themed band
exactly.
and not be educated on the topic.
Exactly. But I'm so sorry. I don't remember what your question was
Oh.
because
No,
because you were like, I'm sure you'll love Star Wars. I'm like, well,
No worries. Sorry for assuming, but
but I will say, it's good. I like Star Wars. It's really good.
Perfect. I'm sure the fans like to
The
hear
music is great. The music is great.
so what's it like being in a band like that? That I'm sure people just. I mean, I know people thoroughly enjoy and love.
I mean, it's nuts, right? Like, I don't know what else to say. It's so one thing that I think is really interesting is, you know, I could be walking around the venue all day. No one knows who I am. I'll play. Yeah, you know, show, cool, people, Star Wars. And I'll be done. I'll take my costume off and like, I can walk through the crowd of people without having a bunch of people trying to stop me from like using the bathroom or something. Like,
That's
you know what I
that's
mean?
actually yeah,
So
it's true.
It's nice.
You appreciate the anonymity. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. Like it has its pros and cons, but like I'm not complaining at all.
So you still get your stage high that you enjoy without any of the other stuff that comes with having to get that stage high, like of being known. Like everyone knows who you are, knows your face. They see you at the bar. Like everyone wants to hound you. You don't have to deal with any of that, but you still get everything that you love out of playing music live without any of the drawback.
Pretty much. Yeah,
That's dope.
I mean there will be like a small handful of people that will be like, you were in the band, and I'm just like, yeah, I was in the band.
You got me.
Yeah, and no idea how they figure it out. Like just some people, I don't know if they watch really closely or I don't know if they
Dude,
recognize.
you guys have huge
like,
fans, man.
But like after a show, like every once in a while someone will like recognize it, but most people don't.
Okay.
Which is fine.
So
Yeah.
you might have answered my question that I'm about to ask, but I don't know. I was gonna ask, what would you say is your favorite part of being, like, what's your favorite thing about being a part of Galactic Empire? And or if you did already answer that question with your last answer, I was gonna say, what's the most unique experience you've had being part of Galactic Empire?
My favorite part, I mean, man, I just get to do what I've set out to do, like, for all of my life that I've been playing music, man, and just trying to grind and get to do something like this. And, you know, I've never really gotten to travel that much in, like, earlier on in my life. You know, I've always wanted to see everything, and
The world's huge, man.
and I just wanted to play, and like it finally does that for me. Like, early in January I had lost my job, and I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do, for real. And it was a couple weeks after that, Grant had hit me up and asked if I wanted to try out for Galactic Empire, and I'm like, I mean, are you kidding me, right? Like,
I'm in.
so and he sent me the stems for 2 songs to audition for, and I sent them back the next day. I was like, I'm not losing this chance, you know. I sat up the entire night the day he sent it to me. I was pulling my hair out trying to learn these songs. They're not easy at all.
No.
They're definitely not. I've seen you guys play, and, like, you guys do a hell of a job making it your own.
And I was like, you know, if this guy's going to ask me to do this, I'm not going to give anyone else a chance to step in here. So I'm just going to bang this out. I was like, spend the next 36 hours or whatever, like, banging your head against the wall, but after you're done, you'll be much thankful for it.
For sure, dude.
Yeah.
So I just put my head down and focused, and I got it back to him right away, and it was not too long after that he was just like, yeah, man, like, you're in. So
Man.
Dude, that's
That's
fucking
amazing.
awesome. I'm sorry. I gotta put it in there. I'm sorry, Brandon, but yeah, dude, it's awesome, man. Like, that's
Thank
really
you.
cool, man.
yeah, I mean, to be able to play music and do that to help sustain myself is not a sentence I ever thought I'd be able to get to say at all.
To do what you love and have doing what you love also provide the other experiences that you've always wanted as well.
Yeah, man, like, it's, I don't know how else to say it. Like, there's no words I'm just talking in circles at this point.
This is
I
what
don't know.
humility looks like, everyone. So it's a good thing. So I love that answer, by the way. But I feel like when I asked the question, something popped in your head immediately, though. What's the most unique experience you've had
Yeah,
being
so
part of Galactic Empire? I can already tell this is good.
so Europe.
All right, yeah, perfect. Starting there.
Europe. Warsaw, Poland. So it's snowing,
Better.
and we're on the way to the gig, and the van breaks down, which, like, you know, that I feel like if you're in a touring band and your van doesn't break down, or you're really in a touring band,
Valid point. True.
right? So I'm just like, well, here it is, right? The van broke down.
Yep, it finally happened.
Yeah, our tour manager, Dan Meyer, bless him, because I could never do his job. He puts up with a lot of BS. They figured out a way to get us in another vehicle, get to the show on time. So we get to the show, we play the show, we get done with the show, and we're getting ready to pack up, and the backup vehicle broke down.
Oh my God.
So we're like,
Ooh,
okay, cool,
this is sweet.
2-for-1 special.
great. And Dan is like, yeah, we got a mechanic on the way. He's gonna take a look at it. Like, sweet. So we're sitting there, we're eating, like, the green room grapes, and just chilling. And then apparently the mechanic was just like, yeah, I don't know. So
What?
so
It's like, are you actually a mechanic?
so we're like, okay, we're in Poland. It's snowing. It's like 10 o'clock. We have to be in Berlin, Germany tomorrow. And we have no vehicle. What do we do? So the venue, from my understanding, paid for us to stay at a hostel up the street. Now, I did not know what a hostel was at the time.
Good. I like where this story's going.
You thought
Yeah.
that was like Polish for hotel. Like,
That's actually exactly what I thought.
Oh my god!
And
He's like, oh, that's actually really close to the English name. That's crazy. I can speak Polish.
I was like, dude, I got a bed tonight. Like my bunk is like as big as me, so I got a bed.
Win.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
This is a win, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was not a win. No. So we got to the place, and we get inside, we get situated. I'm walking to the room, and it is at this moment when I realize, oh, okay, I see what this is. I see what's happening, right?
Yep.
So
For our viewers that don't know, please describe.
oh yeah, I will.
Okay.
Okay, so so a hostel is like a hotel, but you just get paired up with random people, and you just have to sleep with them, and that's just how it works.
it's like a dorm room almost.
Yeah. So the majority of the band and the crew all managed to get in the same room. I was by myself.
Oh no.
I opened the door. I know our time, but like this is really funny.
No, you're good. You're good. Don't even worry about that.
Go.
We walk in the door. Me. I walk in the door.
Me, myself, and I walk in the door.
Yeah. To be clear, I walk in the door, and there's this. Okay, it's like pretty early in the morning at this point, right?
Yeah.
There's a bunk on the left. There's a bunk on the right. There's one guy sleeping on the right bunk. One guy sleeping on the left bunk. There's a window, and there's a small like, what I can only describe as a school desk sitting in the corner.
Okay.
So I walk in the room, and that's the moment I realize what this is, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna sleep tonight, so I'm just gonna sit down in this desk and play my Nintendo Switch because why not, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then I hear this, "Hey, you." Okay.
Oh boy.
Turn around. Hey, how's it going? You sitting there? I mean, does it look like I'm sitting here, right? Like, yeah.
Am I sitting?
Yeah, yeah. Is that a problem? He's like, well, I just want you to know that if you're gonna be sitting there and you're gonna be making not a lot of noise, I just got out of the hospital. I'm having a really hard time breathing and sleeping right now. So if you're gonna keep making noise like that, we're gonna have some problems.
Oh boy.
You're like, dog, I don't have a bed.
I'm like, I got 8 other guys I came with here. If this is gonna be an issue, I'm like, I can like leave, right? And he's like, oh no, it's fine. Goes back to sleep. Okay. I texted the group and I'm like, F this sucks.
Help. I need an adult.
and the tour manager's like, dude, you want to come over to our room? And I'm like, actually, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna build some XP tonight. I'm gonna do this. As soon as I send that message, I hear the door open and I'm like, oh great, what clown's coming through the door now? Someone walks in. It's a young lady. First thing she does is darts it to the window and opens up the window. It's 33 degrees outside. I'm like, what are you doing?
First off, hi.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, how's it going? Sets her stuff down on the windowsill to go do something else. All her stuff falls down on the ground.
Oh my god.
The guy behind me that was just peed off at me wakes up. And I'm like, oh my god. I was going to help this lady pick her stuff up, but I figured if I did, he probably would think that I dropped it, and he was going to like beat me up. And I again.
Nah, man, he has problems breathing. He's only gonna get like one good swing in, and then you're good.
Yeah, yeah. I just gotta find a way out of there, right?
Exactly right.
I don't know. And by this point, it's like 3:30 a.m. We have to be up at 6.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, whatever. I go to the bathroom and I'm walking down the hall, and there's this guy that all I can say is that for his age was walking at a very uncanny speed towards me on the way to the bathroom, follows me into the bathroom. Thank God he did not use the stall next to me because it was like closer to this table away. Like what a time. We wake up and I find out that the other room apparently had someone like try to break into the room, like a really drunk guy was like thrown up in the hall, like
oh my god.
It was a whole thing. and I don't know where the vehicle came from. I don't know what happened. I don't know how we got to Germany. We got to Germany. I don't know.
Thank God.
I'm just in like such a daze at this point because like I haven't slept.
You're sleep deprived. and
I'm
everything.
dealing with this. I'm just like following everyone else. You know, I'm just like, thank God I don't have to worry about. Like if I had to worry about figuring out how to get to Germany at that point, I just would have not. I would
You're
not
like,
played
I'm
this out.
sitting down now. They're like, Brett, what are you doing? You're like, I'm sitting down and I'm not doing anything until this is resolved. Like I'm done. That's it. I've hit my limit. Like I'm not doing anything until this is fixed.
Exactly. And then I'll make a long story short. On the way home, an alarm went off in the airport, and everyone who was not through security had to go back outside. And our bass player had to go back outside, and he missed the flight. So he got put on a different flight back home.
Oh my God.
And we had to go pick him up separately at a different airport.
Oh my gosh. When you say back to America? Like
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, when you got to Berlin, when you got to the venue, did you take a nap in the green room?
Dude, I don't remember.
I
don't
literally
know.
all a blur.
That would have been me. I would have been like, get me to the venue. I'm gonna sleep in that green room, like right
You
now.
need to unlock the doors right now.
You wake me up in 5 minutes before. I'll be dressed and ready. Like
I tried to sleep on the way there. I could not. I do remember not being able to sleep until about 10 minutes before we got to the German border, and I was awakened because in case they needed to see like passports or whatever, the driver was like, hey, like, you know, this is happening. So they wake me up, and I'm like, oh, great, I just fell asleep. Well, they didn't need me at all anyway. So
Well, thank God they woke you up.
yeah, thankfully they woke me up.
oh my God.
And I could not fall back asleep after that. So, yeah, I mean, it was very tiring, but like that makes it sound like my trip in Europe was not a good time. I will say it was a great time. That was like part of one day out of 3 weeks we were there.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
like that's just, it's like it kind of sucked when you were going through it, but it's like it's so funny to tell it.
Oh
then.
yeah,
like
well, that's why I stayed in the room. I'm gonna have a story to tell if I stay here tonight and live. So
yeah, embrace
that's
it.
the big caveat.
Right,
And
yeah.
I live. He's like breaks Nintendo Switch, takes a piece of the glass of the screen out. He's like, I've got a shiv, old guy. I make it harder to breathe.
Everyone else that I've told this story to has been like, "Oh yeah, you've seen the movie Hostel," and I'm like, "I have not seen the movie Hostel." But
You don't want to watch the movie Hostel now. I'm going to tell you that.
It's been a long time since I watched that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we're kind of running out of time here, but thank you so much. Before we let you run, is there anything else you want to shout out, plug, or got any other exciting projects coming up?
So, I mean, I will say I play drums for Monument of a Memory. They are based out of New Jersey, though.
Okay.
Okay. So, fourth
but-
project.
Yeah.
Is
I
there
mean,
fifth and sixth?
three bands.
Who's counting?
4 projects.
Who's counting?
Right, whatever.
Who cares?
And they're coming out with something soon. UltraViolent's dropping the EP soon. Galactic Empire just announced a tour in April. I think the closest to here is Baltimore.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that at Ram Stage or whatever it is? Ram's Head?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I don't know where it is exactly.
He's like, I don't know.
I hop on the bus. No,
They
I'm kidding.
tell me where to go, and I show up. So
I have my guitar. Well, speaking of, though, too, real quick, before we end it, because
Sure.
I have 3 quick things I want to hit.
Yeah, do
One,
it.
you just recently got your first guitar endorsement, correct?
yes,
I just want to say congratulations
Thank
on
you.
record for
Yes,
that.
congratulations.
That's
Thank
yeah.
you.
Who's the brand with?
Legator.
So you want to give them a shout out?
Yes, Legator guitars. They are pretty incredible instruments to use on the road. They sent me a headless to use because the guitar I was using previously was really heavy, and that paired with a costume was just and me being small was just not a great combination at all. So I was like, I need something really light, and I need something I can use.
It's a gorgeous guitar, dude. I remember when you posted the
It's
picture.
beautiful.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, I don't even like headless guitars, but I was like, that's beautiful.
It's very beautiful.
It's very beautiful. The other thing that I want to ask, because I know there's fans out here that they want to know, does Disney know who you are?
Yes,
Okay.
they do know who we are.
They do know who you are.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're paying John Williams, like if he's getting checks and stuff like that, like, yeah, like they know.
Yes.
But just for clarification with fans, Disney does know who you are and they are aware of your presence.
Yes, I will leave it at that.
Okay, perfect.
Wonderful.
I will say
The
that.
only other question I have,
Sure.
we obviously have a very special music scene here in Central PA.
Yes, we do.
It's kind of different from other places. what's your take on that? Like, why do you think that is? Do you have any thoughts to that? How do you feel being part of that scene?
Yeah, I mean, hell, the fact that this podcast exists, right? Like the fact that you can consistently get new people in on the show that are talented at what they do, the fact that we can have a big awards ceremony based around just this location.
Yeah.
And you're consistently having new people being nominated every year. You know, it's not just the same people that you're seeing every year, and it's just some kind of like, oh, you know, we're just going to do this for the same people every year because we can. No, it's because there's a high volume of talent in the area, and you really need to showcase it. And, you know, I've been a lot of places. I've played a lot of shows around the country. I've played overseas, and I don't see stuff like this.
That's awesome.
I mean, not that I've seen in a way that reminds me of what this is in that sense.
Yeah.
Or even just thinking of the area, you know, I can rattle off, you know, like Breaking Ben, August Burns Red, Hailstorm, you know, Motionless in White, Fuel, Live. So many good bands from this area.
Yep.
And I could just rattle them off like that. Just
it's crazy.
Is something, you know, there's something to be said there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, man. I just got to say one last thing. I remember seeing you when you were younger. I played with you when you were younger. Your drive was it was always there, man. And I just got to say, like, sitting down with you here years later, I'm proud of you, man. Like, you're doing exactly what you set out to do.
I appreciate that.
Of course, man.
So much. That
Thank
means a lot.
Keep
Coming from
rocking.
you as well. You know,
Get out of here. Thank
I'm
you.
so, yeah, you guys were always incredible to play with, and
I appreciate you.
it means a lot to be here, so.
You're going to make me
Thank
blush
you
on
guys.
camera. Nobody makes me blush my own blood. Thank
my
you
own
so much
blush.
for taking the time to sit down and talk with us, man.
Yes, dude.
Look
Seriously,
forward
we
to
really
seeing you
appreciate
again,
sure.
whether it's Galactic Empire, Ultraviolent, Monument of Memory, or your solo, or if you're doing it.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll see you at one of them, man.
For sure.
Awesome,
I
man.
appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
I got to say, that was some pretty interesting stories from Brett, especially on tour, man.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I mean, now we got our next guest.
We got Carson Slovak coming up.
Stay tuned. And we are sitting down with Carson Slovak. Carson, thank you so much for taking the time to come out and sit down with us, man.
Dude, really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I got to be honest. We kind of talked a little bit off camera. I'm kind of a huge fan. When I was doing my research, like, I've always known who you were. I've known the name, but I never really put like all the breadcrumbs together. And when I was looking at your completed like resume, like who all you've worked with, I actually questioned if I was a huge fan of the bands or if I was just actually a fan of your production because I'm like a fan of all of the ones you've worked with. So,
Wow.
yeah. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Of course, man, dude. Like, I'm just happy that you get to sit down with us. But let's get into it. I mean, Carson Slovak. Who is Carson? Like, how did you get started in music production? Where did your journey start?
Who is Carson Slovak?
Who is? We're gonna do some super deep dives
All
right
right.
now.
Okay, let's get deep. It's actually not very deep. I've just been around for a while, you know.
I've been around the block, man.
Been
I
at it
kinda
for
saw.
a minute. So I guess I got into music production probably around 2002,
Okay.
2003, when I was just, 20-year-old in a band,
Yeah.
basically trying to write demos for our band. And that's
Been
that's what sparked the interest. And then since then, it's just kind of grown into, I've been in multiple bands, toured a whole bunch, and always in between any of that activity was music production. And I started to get into recording other people's bands probably around 2004 or 5.
Okay.
In that regard, it's actually been about 20 years that I've been recording people's music.
That is quite
which
an
is-
accomplishment.
Yeah, it makes me feel very old, but I've gotten to do a lot of really cool things and work with a lot of really cool artists in that period of time. So I'm very thankful for that.
Absolutely, man. I mean, and when you're talking about like you've been recording other artists for 20 years, I mean, we're talking about. I mean, I'm going to look at my notes here for this one just because it's pretty long. But I mean, everybody knows like August Burns Red, and you've worked with them
Sure.
extensively. You've produced a lot of their music, correct?
It's interesting, actually. August Burns Red is kind of the one band that I can kind of thank for my career, really, because they were a local Lancaster band on when I met them, and I think they were the third band that I recorded
Okay.
when I was when I didn't know anything about recording, and I was just kind of getting into it and learning the ropes, and like, I had my computer set up and everything, and it was like in where I lived, and it wasn't much of a studio, more than just kind of a home studio setup.
Yep.
But we had a big room, and they got in touch with me, and came in and did some demos. That was right after their EP on CI Records came out.
Yep.
So their very first EP, and then all the songs that they wrote after that, I demoed with them probably in like 4 or 5 separate sessions.
Okay.
And those were all the songs that ended up being like all the songs on their first album when they got signed. So I essentially did all the pre-production for that first record, and then they got signed, and they went off and did that record with Adam D, who's the guitar player of Killswitch Engage, who huge influence on me as a producer. Especially at that time, he was kind of like the go-to guy for that like early 2000s metal sound.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, it was awesome for me that they got to work with him, because they came back and told me all this info. And
so they kind of were like, hey dude, here's some cool like insider info.
Exactly. So they basically got a bunch of really useful production workflow information for me, and it really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things that you could do that I didn't even know you could do.
I'm not gonna lie, man, like music production, like I see what you guys do, like I've seen it when I've recorded, and I've seen like all the things, and I don't know how you guys do it, because it is so overwhelming to someone like me. I'm like, there is so many details that you have to like be aware of, that like I'm just grateful for people like you that make the good music, so I don't have to be the one doing it. Like,
yeah, there could be a lot. I mean, it can be kind of overwhelming, especially if you're new to it. But it becomes one of those things where you realize that there's just like a million ways to do any one thing.
Yeah.
So you can get caught in like your option paralysis of like what to use on this, or how to do that, or how to track this.
Absolutely.
But if you get good at kind of just committing to those decisions, then it becomes pretty easy, and you just kind of like listen to like what the song needs, and then make decisions based on that.
That's awesome. So I mean, and I just want to list the rest of your a couple other names for people that might not know, but I mean, so August Burns Red, obviously, Polaris, Hollow Front, Rivers of Nile, Last 10 Seconds of Life. I mean, just to name a few, right? Like, that is just incredible, man, because I love all those bands. So it's really cool. And with you talking about learning like the insider info, essentially, like, later on, if everything that you have now, if you could go back, like if you were starting out today, how would you approach learning music production?
Honestly, if I were starting out from zero, I would. I mean, YouTube was still a thing back when I got into. Probably not as much information was there as it is now, but I would have utilized that more, because I feel like I spent a lot of time as a audio engineer, producer, kind of reinventing the wheel on a lot of things, and like figuring out the hard way how to do very simple things.
Okay.
And so if I could change anything, I think it would be that, like, just do a little bit more research, listen to a little bit more information that other people who do it professionally can give you.
Yeah.
So that's like why that example of like ABR going and recording with Adam D was very valuable to me, because like I got all this information that I was totally unaware of. And
it's like a real life cheat code for you.
Yeah, it was totally a cheat code. So, but I mean, the big picture is like, I think if you're a recording engineer, the way you most effectively learn is by just kind of seeing how other people do their process, and then picking from that, and incorporating that into your own workflow. So I've gotten like really cool tips from like lots of different people whose work I like, and I'm like, oh, how did you get that sound? How do you do your process for this? And you can just collect all these little bites of information, and kind of collect it all and see how it can work for you.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, a little more detail oriented than I probably could be. Yeah, is what it sounds like. Well, but I'm sure there's like some kind of like pattern and rhythm that you get in like the rhythm of when you're doing this.
Yeah, and I didn't go to school for audio either, so I dropped out of film school. So, I don't have any formal training in this, but everything I've learned, I've learned from seeing how other people do it.
I mean, that's kind of like a success story in its own right, though, because it's like you didn't go like the normal traditional route. You didn't go to like Berkeley. You didn't go to like any of these like Full Sail, any of these big name
Sometimes I wish I did, because again, like I think I spent a lot of time early on, like figuring things out the hard way, where I could have just like, done more research or consulted with people more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's a good application for everything. Like people who go to school for this can learn a lot very fast.
Absolutely.
It's just, I think if you're doing it every day professionally, the way that you get good at it is to just do the job and not, read about doing the job.
That makes sense. I mean, and since talking about doing the job, like one of the main questions I wanted to ask is like, what's the most important aspect of a song for you when it comes to like producing it?
Just, is it memorable? Does it hit that spot where it gives you goosebumps? That kind of thing. Like, does it work? Your brain intuitively knows if it's like, okay, this is good. You don't have to think about whether or not it's good. Your brain just tells you it's good. You're
not wrong. And you can usually, I mean, at least for me on some songs, like I can know within like the first like 5 seconds, like if you introduce the song the right way, I'm just like, ooh, you got me enough that I want to hear the rest of the song now already. Like if it's the first time that I'm hearing it. So I do agree with you. Like I never thought about that, but yeah, you do kind of like intuitively know, like, is this song hitting or is it missing? Yeah.
Does it hit the spot or not?
That's that's a really good answer, man.
Yeah.
So I also want to bring up, I mean, we mentioned some of the other bands that you have produced on and everything, but there's also a really big project that you're a part of that maybe some people might not know about. I mean, I would hope they do at this point, but Galactic Empire, man. We had Brett on earlier, and dude, such a nice guy.
I love Brett.
So talented.
Incredibly talented.
But you're one of the founding fathers of Galactic Empire, correct?
Yeah. Grant and I started the band, and we still, run it and everything. I mean, it's wild. We always say that it's just kind of like a joke that went way too far.
Like, do we pull the rug out now, guys? No. Let's see how far we can keep pushing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been fun. I mean, it's been a thing since 2016. We've gotten to tour a lot and do some really cool things and travel a lot. We've done a bunch of music videos and we've been having fun with it.
Absolutely. I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, that was honestly like it's a genius concept, man. It's like you take nerds and metalheads and you were like, I made something for you. Enjoy it. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't know I needed this, but I do need it now. Yeah. And congratulations on all of that success with man.
Thank you.
Of course. So I also asked Brett this. I want to ask you, just for the fans, because I know there are people that are still wondering, does Disney know who you are?
I believe that they do. I mean, we've never gotten any official correspondence from them, thankfully.
Yeah, right.
So, and it's been 8 years, so I think we're good on that front. But I do know that there are people that work at Lucasfilm who are aware of us and are fans of the band. So that's very so cool.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, I would just be like watching like a Star Wars movie, looking at the credits and like, man, I wonder which one of them is a fan of something I created. Like,
God, you never know.
Dude, that's so awesome, man. So, I mean, we've talked about a lot of the things you've produced and a lot of things you've worked on. What project stands out to you as your favorite, if you had to pick one?
Man, that is a very hard question.
Yeah.
Just because we've in 20 years, we've worked on so many albums that are like, special to us.
Absolutely.
It's very hard to pick a favorite.
If you just had to like hip shot pick, just off the top of the head,
man,
you don't have to answer.
It's a hard question.
It's okay.
That's a hard one. I don't want to answer wrong, but I think, man, I would say just in terms of like, Grant and me working together and the band that we have together, I think that first Galactic record is definitely special to me because it kind of represents like, a time where, Grant and I were working together, I think officially since like 2012. But I think we were working on projects together before that, but it's always been a thing like, we've always been great. We're best friends and, it's just a really cool creative thing that we got to do together and take to a point that we never thought we would. So, that record's definitely special for me for sure.
I can imagine it for a multitude of reasons as to why it's special.
I'm not saying it's like the best record we've ever recorded, you know what I mean? But it has sentimental value to me.
Oh, I can believe that 100%. That would be like, I don't know, like if I produced something for Star Wars Star Wars Power Rangers or something like that.
Right.
That would be like awesome. It just hits home. It's something personal. I believe that. So with that, I'm going to follow up with, is there an artist that you would love to work with but haven't had the chance yet?
Oh, so many, man. So many. I mean, for me, my favorite band is Nine Inch Nails, you know?
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
there's no reality in which Trent Reznor would ever need to work with me and Grant, you know?
I don't
But,
know, man.
I mean,
your name carries some. Your guys' names carry some pretty heavy weight. At least I would say specifically
maybe not
in
that
the
much
genre.
weight.
You're not wrong. I mean, it is.
But
Yeah. It is
I mean, in
Trent
terms
Reznor.
of me being a fan, like Rage Against the Machine, you know,
Okay.
like those, it's all the '90s bands because I was a teenager in the '90s, so
Absolutely.
that's always stuck with me. That's my '90s alternative music, you know, is kind of my thing.
I've heard a rumor though too. Dream collaboration, possibly Wu-Tang Clan.
I mean, bring it on, man. I saw Wu-Tang with Nas just like last year, and it was amazing.
I mean,
Busta Rhymes too.
like I said, man, you guys' names are out there. I mean, you guys have a lot of credibility to you. So I mean, I wouldn't put it too far off if I'm being honest, man. So,
Well, I mean, we did do a collaboration with Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC.
yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
over there at oh man, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Well, he played with us at Mickey's Black Box, but he has a song that I don't believe is out yet, but it's Galactic Empire did the music for the song. It's him rapping over it.
dude,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I believe that will be out at some point soon.
That's
But
awesome.
it's going to be great. It's a banger.
Dude, I mean, you've gotten to do some pretty awesome things. And like I said, I want to follow back here. So I mean, what would you? Because you like I said, you've not been formally trained. You never went to a formal school. You have built quite success for yourself. You have quite the resume behind you. Yours and Grant's names and Galactic Empire. You have things that truly hold value, and you get to do it with your best friend. You literally get to do what you love with your best friend every day. What's one piece of advice that you would give to someone that kind of wants to go down the same road that you did?
Just don't worry about like thinking about what to do and what not to do. Just do it. You know, you just got to go. If you get zeroed in on one thing, you just got to focus on that and go straight at it. You know.
This
And
episode is brought to you by Nike.
Yeah, just do it.
Just
I
do
mean,
it.
that's
No, I love it though.
in lieu of sounding like a motivational speaker or anything. It's like I just feel like if you just figure out what you like,
Yeah.
and go full force at it, I mean, then the only person that can stop you is yourself. You know.
I mean, you're not wrong, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we've sat down with quite a bit of people here, and all of you guys have always given us like such good information for maybe some of the potential younger musicians, the younger artists, the younger music producers, and like I really value every guest that's come on here, especially yourself, Carson. I mean, as a fan, and I just as a fan, man. Thank you so much for taking
Dude,
the time to sit
thank
down
you.
with us.
Really appreciate it. That means a lot to me, and I thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here.
Dude, absolutely. We will be in touch with you for the future. I think we
Cool.
might have to take a stop down at your guys' studio and check
Please
that out.
do. Yeah, come by anytime.
Absolutely, man. Well, with that, this was the episode. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
As always, thanks for tuning in for another great episode.
Until next time.